Greetings everyone, this is Jed Schlackman. In this video I'll be speaking about the topic of body art and body adornment. So this includes tattoos, body piercings, jewelry, anything that you're placing on or attaching to your body to create some form of identification or art. These are practices that have been present across many different cultures throughout human history and civilizations. So it's not something that's at all unique to our modern era. And if you look at different periods of time and different cultures, you may find different intentions or different reasons for why people are using some form of tattooing or some form of body piercing or wearing jewelry, etc. So there's more than one purpose or reason for these different practices. It's not always being applied or used for the same reason. And we can look at this from physiological or biological perspectives as well as psychological, energetic, and spiritual perspectives. So this is kind of the holistic overview of these practices, any potential pros or cons to them, how they could function in our particular life experience, and just having some greater self-awareness of how and why we might use or not use these things on our body. So first, to consider the spiritual level, there are many people who use these particular methods of altering their body for a spiritual or religious intention. So people might wear some form of jewelry or have a body piercing or a tattoo that has a religious or spiritual meaning for them. It may represent to them their connection or allegiance to a particular faith or spiritual practice or a spiritual or religious character. So people will often use some form of jewelry, tattoo, body piercing to facilitate their particular practice or identification relative to their religious and spiritual beliefs. Now, this isn't something that the creator of all life has either asked us to do or forbidden us to do. It's something that we're creating with our own belief systems, perhaps traditions that have been passed down to us. So it's really up to each person to consider within their own values or beliefs if that's something they want to do or not. So there's nothing to be afraid of in terms of doing it or not doing it, and how some divine being is going to perceive you. There are also social and psychological aspects to these practices. If you consider why people might be putting tattoos on their body or wearing particular jewelry or piercing their body in particular areas, it can be something that's done in terms of one's individuality and individual self-expression, or for a group or tribal purpose, perhaps representing being part of a particular group, a tribe, a gang, etc., or having some allegiance or loyalty toward a particular group identity or group belief system. So there are both the individual and the social or tribal type reasons why people might choose to wear these on their body, to have a tattoo or a particular form of jewelry. And then, of course, there's the idea of putting something on your body for the purpose of aesthetics, just something that you find is attractive or appealing, or that you expect other people in your social environment will see as attractive or appealing. In our modern culture, it's much more common for women to use jewelry for that aesthetic purpose, for the sense of being attractive, and it's typically been more common for men to use tattoos, although that's becoming a little bit more equal in a sense in the current time period, where you'll find both many men and women who gravitate toward having tattoos on their body. Now, we can also consider whether it's being done as something to conform to one's social group or culture versus something done to express one's individuality, or even as sort of a form of rebellion, particularly in younger people, doing something that your parents might look down upon or might feel uncomfortable with, or other authority figures around you. That might be an act of being rebellious or trying to express your personal power and individuality. So that's another psychological aspect of why people might choose to get a tattoo, for example. So it could be something that you see your friends are doing, and whether consciously or unconsciously seeking to fit in or conform or get their attention or their approval in some sense, you might choose to exhibit that same activity, to have your body pierced or tattooed, etc. So we can have different reasons for ourselves of why we're choosing these particular forms of adornment of our body. And this is something I encourage anyone who has these or is considering these to reflect upon. What is the purpose or reason you're attracted to doing this or having this for yourself? Also to consider whether you're doing something that's going to be temporary or permanent or relatively permanent. So it's one thing to wear something that you can take off at any time versus to have something that's permanently etched into your skin, or to have your body pierced in a way that's permanent there. So these are things to consider, particularly in regards to looking at the trajectory of your life and your belief systems and values, realizing that we're not the same person we are now versus who we were in the past versus who we'll become in the future, and we might desire different things going forward. So you might have a tattoo or a piercing now that in the future you might not want to have, and if it's something you've put more permanently onto your body, then that's a challenge. You might have a difficult time removing that. So it's easier in a sense to do things that are temporary, that you're not going to be stuck with for a long time. It's also valuable to consider how placing things on your body could have a physical or energetic effect. When you put anything on your body, it can affect the energy flow and the energy fields. So we have chakras, energy centers, we have meridians, currents or channels of energy that run through our body on an energetic level. And when you place something physically on the body, whether it's some form of jewelry or even a tattoo, putting some dye, an image on a particular part of your skin, that can impact the energetic level. So if you put something that's affecting you energetically, is that going to in some way enhance your energy or in some way distort or compromise your energy field? So be aware of those considerations. In terms of your biochemistry or physiology, be aware that these are actual physical elements that you're putting on your body or injecting into your body, and many of those could contain some element that's toxic to you. Especially with tattoos, many of the inks being used are really not as non-toxic or safe as people might think. They often have metallic elements or other chemicals in them that can, in a sense, leach into your body. They can be absorbed not just on the surface of the skin, but can penetrate deeper, that might get into your bloodstream or other tissues and potentially affect you in a negative way. So those that are considering tattoos, you would want to consider what substance is actually present in the ink, and especially if you're getting a lot of them, realize that your body can be absorbing that and it could have some negative health consequences. With jewelry, there are many different materials that might be used. Traditionally, these are precious metals. There could also be particular gemstones or crystals that you're using. Many of those have some type of physical or metaphysical healing properties or energetic properties that you might desire or wish to use. So you might have a particular stone that's there to help you with emotional healing or giving you confidence, supporting your personal empowerment, supporting your intuition. So these are different things you might wear on your body as jewelry that are meant to support your energy system and to support you psychologically and spiritually. So in that context, it might be something you're using in a practical way that might have some benefit to your different levels of being. But if you're not mindful about what you're choosing, you might end up using something that's actually kind of pushing your system out of balance. So it might be giving you too much of a certain type of quality or energy that disrupts your harmony or your balance. So if you're choosing jewelry, choosing things to wear on your body, be conscious of the properties and your intention for choosing it. With common metals that are used, people may have some type of reaction to those. Some metals trigger, you could call it an allergic response or a sensitivity, a negative reaction. So there might be some you would need to avoid. And then there are also properties to certain metals that people find valuable or beneficial. One example is people wearing copper bracelets to improve circulation. So copper, that element, is used in different forms or contexts to support physical health or circulation. So you might use it as jewelry for that purpose. Silver is another metal that's often used in jewelry. Gold is also often used. And copper and silver are both antimicrobial. So in ancient times, people might have used those to protect them from bacteria or fungus. At that time, they might not have had resources that existed more recently, such as antibiotics and antifungal medicines, but they may have known that particular metals had the effect of killing harmful microorganisms, and so they used jewelry made from those metals with the intention, actually, for it to support their health or well-being. So when you have metals in your jewelry, things that are attached to your body now, those could be used for some practical beneficial purpose, but also be aware that we can absorb too much of metals, and that could throw us out of balance in some way or trigger some type of health problem. So there's both potentials there. These are very individual choices for people to consider what you want to place on your body. So it's helpful to be aware of these different layers of significance to those choices, how it's affecting you physically, psychologically, energetically, and spiritually. If you have more questions about this, you're welcome to research further. And for those that are interested in holistic health and personal healing and spirituality, I invite you to visit my website. That's phinsights.com, phinsights.com. For now, I would like to wish each of you a wonderful day. Namaste.